Hello, I'm Sara Wilson. If you haven't met me before, well, I have met all of you, so that's wonderful. And welcome to this week's hypnotherapy breakthrough session. And this week, I am joined by my special guest, Rebecca Cragnolini. She is an amazing, amazing coach, author, speaker, hypnotherapist, amazing person, friend. And you are in for a real treat today. She has got 20 years experience with mental health, has her own amazing story of mental health recovery through her family. And she has been instrumental in my journey and my first introduction into hypnotherapy. And yeah, really that meeting with you, Bex, that first day where we met in that cafe, that was the turning point where my life took a different turn. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
This was worth doing this today just to hear that.
So we're going to have a lovely chat with Bex for a while, and then she's going to lead us in a little meditation at the end. The first thing I want to ask you, Bex, is really about that moment that you were like beautiful enough to give me, where I went, oh yes, this is for me. What was that moment for you? Do you have a moment in your life where you went, yes, NLP and hypnotherapy, that's part of who I'm going to be?
It's funny, you know, Steve Jobs's commencement speech that he gives about joining the dots, that at the time it's when you look back that you can see the different things that fell into place that led to that. So, and the more I go on, the more I realize there were even earlier dots that were signaling that. My dad, for example, when he had bowel cancer, he went to someone for NLP. It really helped him in terms of managing of all the kind of discomfort, and had this added bonus of he relaxed more on an emotional level, and was letting go of things of the past that I'd never heard of, like going back to when he was had his head flushed down the toilet at a Boy Scouts thing, and just how out of control he felt there and how that had progressed in life, and that felt like such a gift. He did pass away not too long after that, but even learning some of that stuff felt like a gift. And then my big moment that led was me knocking on the door. I was working for the Canterbury District Health Board and mental health. I was about to give feedback to a team that things weren't going well in terms of the feedback that their service had received. I knew I was anxious about it, and there was this gurgle and thinking, oh, please not now. I'd had irritable bowel for almost like 20 years at that point, where it would be I could not go to the toilet for over a week, and then have diarrhea, and so very much felt out of control. Felt surely this is in some way relating to anxiety, but how do you control your bowels? Like, I've done all the medical kind of things and the different diets, and trying to figure out different medications, try and make things a smoother journey. And I just was let into the building and thought, I have to do something about this. Went off for acupuncture. The acupuncture wasn't working, and she said, look, there's one, I feel good at the time. I felt quite relaxed, and it wasn't really making changes in terms of the bowels. And so she said, I've just been on an NLP course. Do you want to try some of these techniques? And I was like, yes, I'll give anything a go. And it was a parts one, the parts integrated, and it had never occurred to me that in some way this could be meeting a need. The need that came up for me was stability, And I was thinking, but my life, I thought I was going to have to quit my job because it was interfering with life so much. And thinking, this does not feel like stability. But it felt like this magnetic moment, this light bulb of, but this actually makes sense, that my mind was attempting to get me out of these situations where I had, this anxiety, and literally my hands were like, they just, without taking me through the process, they were like, came together. And the symptoms then just changed. And so I got curious, what else? This was something I thought was out of my control. What are other things I think are out of my control that I can start using? So
That's amazing. I remember you doing that hands together and parts integration.
Yeah.
Maybe that first weekend it would have been weight loss and smoking my first weekend, I think. And I remember really vividly doing it, and this magical moment of thinking, my hands are moving all by themselves.
Yes.
And yeah, just having exactly the same thing, this light bulb moment of, oh, that thing that I've been trying to push away and get rid of and not listen to actually has a really good message.
Yes, absolutely. And that has, people then ask, so do you not have irritable bowel anymore? And I don't meet the criteria of it. And there's also that thing of, it's my body's way of getting my attention now. So that's, I don't know, 12 years ago. It still can be there. And I tell it, you're allowed to do this. If I'm not listening, if I'm not meditating and getting the lessons in other ways, sure, get my attention that way. Get my attention also through my eating or my weight or whatever. That's another way to get my attention. But yeah, that's okay. I'll just... so most of the time it doesn't happen if it really, unless it really does need my attention.
It's a really good way of looking at it, that, our mind and our body is quite happy to kind of go with the flow until it needs to tell us something. And if we don't listen, then that voice gets louder, and it may end up being a physical symptom, or it may end up being something else that goes, you really need to listen now.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So it can be okay, thank you, rather than what are you doing to me?
Yeah, absolutely. If you haven't read Bex's book, it's the most amazing journey. I'm going to just hold it up so that you can see. It's called The How of Hope. And this book really, it goes into your story, which you'll read if you read the book. And I'm not going to ask you to, tell the whole story now, but a little bit of it, and how it relates to NLP and hypnotherapy and all of those, techniques that you learned along the way, how eventually those things have kind of allowed you to climb out the other side, so to speak.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, the book is about the fact that when I was giving my birth, my husband, well, actually he wasn't my husband, my fiance, was still in the midst of a psychotic episode. So he didn't think that we were in a hospital. He didn't think that I was in pain. I was. It was 2 days worth of a birth, and 6 weeks earlier was the first time that this really all came to a head. It came to a head really quickly. He attempted to end his life. I was working, so this was in London, and I was working in a team that was actually early intervention and psychosis. We were doing everything to empower the clients that we worked with, so they wouldn't stay in, what did they call it? There was a word for it they used to talk about, but basically be a client for a very long period of time. It was this intensive work to start with. And I can see, looking back, we were psychology-led, particularly family therapy in that team. And I can see now the links with hypnotherapy, with NLP. so there was this a bit of understanding what we can do, to empower people. But certainly when we were on the other side of it, experiencing it, there were just a whole lot of other lessons. And ultimately, when I, with my irritable bowel experience and starting to learn more about mindset, eventually Andre did, when I left the DHB, set up a business, as can happen to start with in the groups that was running. There was quite a high proportion of friends and family. And Andre, my husband, he was in the first group as well. And it was, I remember him having a light bulb moment in there, and me being in this role of facilitator in the group and going, speaking to him like I'm with someone else, but thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're having this insight. This is what's formed some of our arguments sometimes at times. It's just so exciting. And then he has become sort of like the guinea pig whenever we go on trainings. So down the track, Imelda and I actually only a year after I left and had been in business for 1 year. Then I met Imelda through the hypnotherapy school. For about 8 years we'd worked together, and now Kelly also, who met through the hypnotherapy school as well. Well, actually, it's funny stories. We were joining the chamber, and she said, I'm really interested in what you do. And Imelda said, you should go along to the hypnotherapy training then. And she trained. And it's such a win that whenever, and it's tended to be Imelda, whenever Imelda's gone on training, she'll just do that work with Andre. And it has really let go. And particularly the most useful things have been those limiting beliefs, those things you logically know aren't true. But there is a belief, and your mind is there taking it on like it's a fact, and your body's responding. So to have a way of actually letting go of those things that were having such an impact on his life, on our life, pretty grateful.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, and I love how you've woven through those techniques in the book, so you can kind of learn about them. And there's a wee part at the back of the book as well where you can it's called the toolbox, I think, where you can just go through and just have a bit of an overview. And in the hypnotherapy course, we learn all of these techniques. Anyway, you've got like the swish and parts integration and things like that, but there's a couple of other ones that are kind of a little bit variations, I guess, on what we do, which are really, really lovely. And I where you've just said about limiting beliefs, I think that's one of the kind of cornerstones of making change for people. And especially for me, I remember one of the hypnotherapy weekends I did with you, I can picture the room that we were in and everything, but I can't remember which weekend it was. But I remember I was in the midst of Jake being in hospital, and I had this belief that I was a bad mum.
Oh, I remember that.
And I didn't actually believe it. There was this kind of just this thing of, and I just remember bawling my eyes out and changing that belief to I'm a fun mum, and remembering all the fun things that we'd done. And it was just so lovely. And it was a real pivotal moment of going back into hospital with this energy of, actually, I'm fun mum. I can bring the fun to the hospital. And actually the weekend after that, we made hundreds of these little purple elephants that you can make out of the gloves that are in the hospital. You blow them up and you tie them, and then you tie their legs, and they become these little elephants. And we had them everywhere and little eyes on them. And it was just the funniest, loveliest moment. So I wanted to say thank you for that too.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Yeah. And because you do know that we need to, when we're healing, we need that good kind of energy. and we'll have plenty of beliefs there that are working for us. But yeah, if there's ones that are getting in that way of having you in the best space.
And healing's such a long process, isn't it? Before we got on to this call today, you were saying, you know, that this year has been the most healing year for you. Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's so funny. More and more I go on, the more I think and just trust in this divine timing, or just that things do really happen as they're meant to. And that relaxes me a lot when on the surface it looks like plenty of things are going wrong. And even probably the last 18 months, there was part of me that was thinking, am I depressed? Things that I was normally enjoying, you know, I could still connect and enjoy moments, but thinking it's not in the way that I normally would. And have you heard that metaphor of the slow boiling frog?
Yes.
Yeah, right, some nods, yeah. I think I was a slow boiling frog. And yeah, as time was going on, and every time I would meditate, I would get answers around things outside of me, like what I might, you know, I usually always meditate before a client or before a presentation, so I'd get answers around that. But in terms of the things that I felt were going wrong, like my eating wasn't great, and normally I'd absolutely know what to do in terms of mindset things to shift that. Those things weren't working. Getting more and more tired, and every time it just said, it's happening as it's meant to, be trusting the process. I'm thinking, oh, but how long? Like, I've given you a week, I've given you 6 months, I'm giving you a year, like what? And then a whole lot of things came to a head. And looking back, it was enough. Andre, my husband, he lied about something. It was a stupid lie. It was about meeting up with a female. I needed it to be a female. I needed him to lie in order for me to I just exploded. And all these things, all the things that had been going on for both of us, the confusing part was that I think both of us knew that we loved each other. We would hug each day. There were also these things that weren't going so well. Andre so in some respects, a medical person would say he was manic. He was getting manic. There were the things. I would say, and when all this brought to, we really need to sort this up. We really need to figure out what it is that we want. We need to figure out what kind of beliefs have been getting in the way. We need to have lots of kind of conversations. But very much trusting the intuition that those things, like I was yelling and insulting him, and thinking, I teach communication. Is this... am I not really practicing what I preached? And then I was remembering, no, part of it is saying sometimes aggressive communication, there's a role for it. It's such a strategy that I very, very rarely use, that he said to him, to see my anger was the thing that kind of snapped him out of what he was experiencing. And made him, he's had a near-death experience before. When he had a skydiving accident, during surgery, his heart stopped, and he saw the light. He said, me yelling at him, and he could see how hurt I was about things, that he's like, I had this, like a near-death experience. I could see my path if I stayed on this track, and I could see also, I knew I didn't want to be on that. And he had a moment of thinking, I've been such an asshole and I deserve to die. And he was like, it was within seconds that it was like, no, it's time for me to step up and actually in the past, what would happen would he would get really kind of manic, take on a whole lot of things, and then the crash would come into depression. He would put on weight. It was like weight, in a way, kind of grounded him. And the medication, it certainly grounded him as well in terms of, just being so zonked. And this was the first time really that for him, he really needed to use his mind to ground, because he was not going to go into depression this time. And I knew at the time, I mean, on the surface, the story I could have told could have been like, what an asshole he was. But really, it was going through my mind as well. I know this stuff is mirroring. I know that I will have been doing this in a way, maybe certainly in a different kind of way. So all the things that I was complaining about him, like he's so checked out of home life, he'll do anything for anyone else, including males. But yeah, like I say, I needed it to be that female to really kind of get my attention and go, enough, like I've got something to say about this. But yeah, equally could see how I could have been, I was a bit checked out of home life. We sort of did it at different times. I was very focused on the business. His drive, that drive was around impressing people, and seeing how, well, I get how that I can be doing that, and that's not always so useful. So all these things.
Such a good catalyst, isn't it? I think, like when things come to a head like that, it's like there's one little trigger and suddenly you get to heal so much, because it's, it's like picking the scab off of something and it all comes out. In a disgusting way. That was a horrible metaphor, but
Yeah, and this
but
time
it's true. Then you get to heal properly.
That is the thing, and all of the other work that both of us had done in the past, like there's no way that the first time way back when he attempted to take his life, we couldn't have done that stuff there. I knew that we had, all the beliefs were there before we'd met.
It's a journey, That's right. And you can't do that part when you're up here. You can look back and say, oh, I wish I'd done that then, but it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have been the same. I always kind of go, well, I wish I'd
trust in each other.
Yeah.
Just then it was taking this to this other level. So extremely grateful. Our daughter was she's 15 now. We could just leave her and explain to her, this is what's going on. We're just needing to speak and talk and don't know what the answer is, but kind of, trust. And she was in a, space to feel that. She got learnings from it, as in she spoke to her friends about what was happening. And she's like, I've got such lovely friends. They were really supportive. Like that was, there were so many good things coming out of it. And the more that we've spoken to people, the more that they've identified and said, I do that. That's one of the things that I do. I try and impress people that are not actually important in my life. And so just so many different ways.
That's brilliant. And I think it also comes back to those limiting beliefs that we have, that we can, when we're in those moments, we can examine them and let go of them. And it's
I've been on a course earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And one of the questions was, how do you define love? What's way back, what things did you pick up about love? And I, so you're sitting there coming up with ones, and then I realized, oh, that's a biggie for me. I've had certainly positive ones, but this was looking at what ones might be impacting life negatively, and realizing, so my dad was a teacher. There were 5 of us in the family. He was, teacher supporting the family of 5, and he was stressed out. But the message that we got was, he did this because he loved us. He was there supporting So I picked up this belief that love is doing things you don't want to do. And I asked Andre, yeah, what are your definitions of love? And he said, to start with, he said sex. I was like, oh yeah, I can see how that's the case. And I'm glad he was being honest. And then we were saying, well, what does that mean? Like, does that mean if something happens and we can't have sex, does that mean there won't be love kind of in the marriage? And he was like having a little ponder about it and was like, yeah, actually wanted to change his beliefs around that to like love is intimacy, it's connection, and that's something I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I was like, but what about you hadn't probably picked that up when you were really young. What were your definitions of love when you were really young? And he said that love was getting what you want, that his parents were almost a bit scared of him, even from a very young age. They are loving, they are wonderful people. And yeah, it was this thing of love is being able to do what I want. And thinking, well, this makes a bit of sense of what's been going on in the marriage. Like, here I am, yes, I'll just do the things that I'll, because love is doing what you don't want to. And there's, I'm like, I'll get my way, which is ironically, people that would know us would have kind of jokingly, but there was truth to it, like thinking that I was the one wearing the pants in the relationship. And thinking, yeah, that's not what I mean, it's, again, it was just another mirror going on.
Many mirrors, eh?
Yeah, we both
just that whole idea that whatever's happening externally, if
our
you
strategies are different.
Look at it, yeah. Cool.
My strategy of getting my way would be talking directly about it. Andre's strategy of getting his way is, oh, well, if you don't do this, I'll just be a bit sneaky, or I'll just do that and tell you later I've gone off and bought that at 3 a.m. again, or like just, yeah. So yeah, for me, I shifted my belief around that to love isn't doing what you don't want. Love is listening to what feels right and going with that.
Yeah. That's really interesting, because I've just been thinking, as you've said, that about what were my, love ideas. And, I had a dad that left pretty early. And whenever I saw him, he would bring me a present. So presents are gifts, presents are love. And I still do carry that. If I don't get a present at Christmas, I'm not happy.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it puts pressure on you getting gifts then as well.
That's right. And I think a lot of people have that as a love language, where giving and receiving gifts is means I've thought about you, means I've been looking out at the shops for you about something that you'd like. And it's not just the gift, it's the that I'm top of mind. And I think that's a really interesting.
Yeah, someone's seen me. Understanding.
Thank you so much, Bex. That was a really lovely insight into your journey, and I really want to carry on that kind of conversation around beliefs, but we're not running out of time. So if you if you want to know more, have a look at Bex's book, because it is really, really amazing. And you're doing some lovely work at the moment, going into corporates, and you've got this lovely wellness program that you're rolling out, and an app. So much going on. So really cool.
And again, with all of those things, they came with the wanting to get the message wider came from being exhausted. Financially, the business was doing really well. We had all these people, referrals coming in. We weren't really doing any marketing because we had some referrers, and then we also just then had word of mouth. And yeah, thinking this is not sustainable. I'm exhausted. Both of us were. And then that's what led to, well, what do we need to do in order to reach a wider group of people? That's when we teamed up with Kelly, Again, plenty of mirrors and learnings going on there. And yeah, but just with the wellbeing ambassador trainings in the workplace, that realizing that people will go on trainings, or we can come in and do presentations, and then things, oh yeah, that's really good, and then just gets forgotten. So we do have the Go Well program, which has the resource kit, which has about 100 different resources under the different headings of, everything's a mindset element, but communicate well, nourish well, be well. There's 6 of them. Be well, communicate well, nourish well, move well. Anyway.
Well.
Yeah. Remember well. No, it's not that.
Okay.
So yeah, and then knowing that with online things, if people are really committed to something, they will do it. However, when you let's train up people in the workplace, understanding that a little bit more about mindset, and also so they can be the ambassadors, they're spotting the different things, keeping it front of mind, like some people are incorporating it into their health and safety meetings. But like I say, every time, that was sometimes growth has happened, but I guess just getting used to the fact of, oh, well, if something's feeling uncomfortable here, it's ultimately surely leading me to even more meaning and purpose. And
absolutely. I think that's a really good kind of like last sentence, really, that anything that feels a little bit uncomfortable is leading you to more meaning and more purpose. So we can get close with the uncomfortableness.
That's right. Yeah.
Righto, are you ready to lead us in a little hypno meditation to start off our Monday?
Sure. Is there anything, do you have the chat box going, or?
Yeah, well, I can. If you want to do as well, we could unmute people, and if you've got anything you want to ask, we can do that before the meditation.
Okay, let's do that.
And then if something comes out of that, then you can
plan.
I know you can think on your feet. So if anyone's got something that they'd like the meditation to be focused on, or
is there anything in particular that would be this would be even better in life if this was happening, or
can you all? Oh, you can, Ellie. There you are.
Hey Bex, that was amazing. Thank you. It was really insightful and timely. And I'd love the meditation around just moving forth, moving forward, knowing that those limiting beliefs are quietly being diminished. And I don't want to speak for Claire, but I know that she's on the beginning of this journey as well, around moving forward into a new business and feeling like we're in flow, a real magnetic experience, and trusting our intuition and getting out of our own way and being our best selves. Because and when you talked earlier about how people around you could connect with the challenges that you'd had when you were really authentic, I think having that confidence to share those moments that are really deep within us, that we think, oh my God, we should be able to be past that now, because we've done all of this study and we should be out of our own way already. But it's a journey, isn't it? And so the value of sharing that information for the people.
My goodness.
Yeah.
You never know who's listening. You never know what people are getting from it. The number of times, Imelda's really good at it. She will follow up with people to say, what did you get from Bex's story? And what people say, I'll be like, I really think that's in the book. But they will have just, from what's happening in their life, they will take something and make meaning from it there. So yeah, I think, like you say, if you just out there with the intention of something good will come from this. If this is what, if this does, knowing the difference between what feels right and what feels scary. So if it still feels scary, but it feels right, kind of going for it. And sometimes, I mean, one of my lessons is just shutting up sometimes. I do have a lot to say, but actually, yeah, it's not always what's needed. Yeah, thanks.
I got real value from you sharing about, despite your time in this type of environment, and we do put ourselves out there a lot, and having that self-insight of, you've had 20 years in the sector, for want of a better term, and still sharing that kind of challenge just felt very validating for me as an individual. It's okay, look, just keep going. And
yeah.
Well, that's what we've been talking about before we came on. There is a little bit in Beck's book which is about looking at those beliefs that we have, and one of them was people are judging me, and then flipping it on its head and going, well, if I'm thinking that, I'm actually being judgmental about them, and what evidence is there that that's true? They don't know me, so how are they going to judge me? They're probably just wanting to hear me speak, and that's why they're here, because they paid to come. There were all these things. It was just really beautiful to do that, like self-reflection, and get more. The more you do it, the more comes to the surface. For a lot of people, who are just at the kind of beginning of that self-reflection journey, they're getting those kind of like big things come up. But even, I said there's no end to the journey. It just carries on. You just get more and more. It's just layers and layers.
Exactly, yeah. That getting to peace with the fact that the learnings are going to happen until the day you die, kind of thing, and potentially beyond. So just being into that, oh, well, if I can tune into the learning, I can keep moving forward at that pace. The relaxing into that. I've always been grateful for the ones that I perceived as ahead, and whenever they were saying just the fact that they still get nervous about different things, all of that, I think does just help us and makes us better at what we do. With the clients that have been going through, ones that have stuck with coaching a bit longer, generally they would come for 6 months because we're like, let's just get on to all the stuff that's there, to get a lot of techniques on board, let life happen as well. They're not weekly sessions, but we have weekly in the first month to get the momentum going, and then let some life come in to be guiding that as well. The ones that come, and at first that we tend to, the beliefs that we're doing are all those kind of ones where they're beating themselves up. My thing is that people that have come have a little bit of understanding around the psychology world. They'll be talking in terms of I'm not enough. To me, people have their own personalized beliefs that we need to do detective work to really kind of go, it's that, and what are the benefits of that? Let's take all the benefits. What are you missing out on? Let's make sure that the new belief really incorporates the benefits and allowing you to keep moving forward. I forgot what I was saying. Well, got it back. They start off being these ones where they're putting themselves down. The longer you work with people, the more it is with the side of the shadow self or the dark self, or those beliefs that we're not really meant to say out loud in public. Like, I got pleasure from putting that person down, or I really do think my way's right, their way's wrong. Or, so it just gets kind of, Imelda, Kelly and I, we do sessions on ourselves. We find ourselves even more and more interesting, like, wow, that belief, who would have thought? There was one with Imelda that I'm thinking, why is it that when Imelda gets excited about things, there's part of us that get irritated by it? And realizing that there was this part of it is also like, you should be doing this. There was a little bit of that energy to the excitement. So yeah, just need a little tweak. And they're like, we can get excited. And yeah, just kind of figuring out how life can be, just with a few little tweaks there. So yeah,
Okay,
never ends. Yeah.
Righto. Shall we get on? And so you're happy to do it around that, Bex?
Moving forward,
Moving
getting
forward.
out of our own way. Sure.
Nice. Cool.
Okay. So when you're ready, if it feels okay for you, either lower, or I think it's just lovely to close your eyes. Because to me, when we close our eyes, it really is a signal to our mind that it is time to relax, time to go within. There's something really, really kind of already peaceful around that. Yeah, of course, when we close our eyes, it can be that signal that it's time to sleep. And of course, sleep is all about healing and restoring and processing. So just kind of reinforcing that idea. And you can even open your eyes if you want, and then close them again to get that message going on. Can relax. We're here for insights. We trust insights will come. We trust that this is a time that we can be programming in a way that works best for us. And usually the thing I notice when I close my eyes is the subtleties. Then I might think I'm relaxed, and I close my eyes, so I sort of start paying attention more to my body, and notice that signal to relax does mean little subtle letting go of the muscles, so they're like loosening and lengthening. And then for me, next, what I notice is that my breathing tends to slow down that little bit. And I begin to notice things like when I'm breathing in through my nose, I like the coolness of the air. So breathe in through my nose, the warmth of the air as I breathe out. And that's a reminder to myself that when I am in the moment, it does feel good being present, because I am safe right now. There's nothing I need. I have everything that I need. I'm breathing, my heart's beating. I'm getting to connect with some cool people. I really do have everything I need. And then my mind can bring awareness sometimes to the energy, the movement of thoughts going on in my mind. And I like to send them down into my heart. So I do that by imagining that there's a slide from my head, and it's just funneling all the thoughts down into my heart. And I know my heart's powerful. I know this is a really powerful guidance system for me. I know that some of those thoughts, when they come down into my heart, just kind of melt away. They're being listened to. Those answers of what it can be doing to keep progressing, to let those limiting beliefs keep dissipating, fine-tuning into even better ones for me. I trust my heart, I really do. And I know it's a process. It's a nice process to be part of. And before we go into the moving forward part, because sometimes what can happen, I think, is that we can be too focused on the future. When we're focused on the future, one of the things can be that we don't have it. It's like an opportunity to go, well, I don't actually have this yet, so it can leave us feeling like we're lacking something, which isn't the ideal energy really to be taking when we're wanting to move forward. So there's a simple thing that we can do, and that is to be acknowledging just how great we are already. Just as we are right in the second, we really are doing pretty well. And we can reflect on that by just thinking, what was something over the last week, what was something that went well? And it doesn't have to be what we might traditionally think of as successes. You know, just connecting, smiling with a stranger, that can be something that goes well. Just thinking about what was something that went well last week. And what was it about me that brought that about? What was I doing that led to that success? And listing in your mind all those things, those wonderful things about you that brought that about. Enjoying that energy. Noticing where you feel that most in your body when you're bringing to mind the successes as well, just acknowledging, owning. Yeah, that's because I am good at doing that. That is because naturally I do that. It's just how I roll. When we're connecting to that, it really does give us the confidence to be moving forward. Because we know when we're challenging ourselves, along with that comes satisfaction. Along with that does come wonderful things like asking others for support, enjoying the connection when that happens. So many good things come from it. And if it feels comfortable, I want you to put your hand on your heart, still with your eyes closed. And you're going to be asking your heart a question. And this question is going to be guiding you to where in your heart you know is going to be best for you. It's going to be that next step. So you are getting that magnetic flow in your life. You know how good that feels. You can trust your heart. You're going to give it space to answer. Just asking that question, what do I need to focus on next? Or what does my heart say I need to let go of? And let your heart speak. It's fine if you go back up into thinking mode. We can feel it by just feeling the energy shift up into our head. So use the slide to come back and down into your heart. And ask it, what else? What else do I need to know? My heart also says, and my heart also wants me to know, and my heart says, and my heart says, just keep on asking until you really have a sense that you have all the answers. We only need the answers really for the next step. So we can move with that confidence and trust that it's safe to be authentic because our heart is guiding us. We're trusting the value that we bring because the heart always gives us good value. And the heart can process so much, all that's happening in our mind, all that we've picked up intuitively, all that kind of higher stuff. Like, we know the fact that we are more than our body. We have to be more than our body because our cells, like, they change every 7 years. We're in a completely new body. And we're more than our mind because it has updates too. It changes, we shift beliefs, we have new insights. So our heart can kind of take in that higher, wiser, loving part. It takes all this information and just channels it into the next step for us. Just noticing how you feel in your body. You've got that knowledge. Trusting all you need to do is set the intention. When the time's right, give me more information. Create that space. You know, I'm sure in your heart, you know that you've got a lot to offer. And you can be doing it a way that works best for you. If it feels okay, put a smile on your face. It can be a little one, it can be a big one. Just for the purpose of when we smile, even the tiniest little smile, it amplifies our energy. It amplifies all that good energy, that trusting energy, that confidence. We don't need a reason to smile. Only just to connect to that beautiful energy. And then when it feels right, when you really feel like you've got all the information that you need, you can feel energy begin to kind of move in a way that's good for you. So if you're like, man, I need to be alert soon, feel the energy begin to fire up inside and move and flow. If you're like, I can go into the next part of my day in a chilled mode, bring to mind that chilled kind of energy, let it relax and flow through your body. Choose that energy, and when you're ready, count yourself up, like go 3, 2, 1, and when you get to 1, you can open your eyes. You can be feeling refreshed, you can be feeling clever and confident. But yeah, do it in your own time.
Welcome back. Oh, that was so lovely. Thank you so much. There's so many beautiful insights from that. I can't even. Had to take another half an hour, I think, to get going with all the stuff that came up.
I see it's 5:02. Would
Yes.
it be okay is there time to just hear any little insight?
Yeah, I mean, as long as everyone else has got time, I've got 5 minutes. If anyone's got any questions or anything they want to ask Bex before they go, or feel free if you need to get on and get into your day, feel free to catch up later.
So I just want to say thank you, and that little meditation hypnosis, I solved my Microsoft Technotard moment that I've been having. It's an issue for about 3 weeks now. So
You're kidding.
figured out how to get around that. And, yeah.
Oh, Claire, that's so exciting.
So good. Awesome.
Yay. You never know what's going to come up, do you? I hadn't predicted a Microsoft solution.
Sometimes it's just like about getting out of your own way, isn't it?
Yeah.
And looking at it from a different perspective. And that heart perspective is probably the most beautiful perspective we can have. So
I think so.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to ask?
I just want to say thank you, so and following through. So I've written down some notes, I've scrawled some notes, and a couple of mine, they weren't surprises, but just went in a bit deeper, and so reinforced and strengthened my resolve to actually just stop dithering and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason Nike's ad campaign was so popular, wasn't it? Yes,
Oh, thank you so much, Bex. That was amazing, as always. I always love hanging out with you and listening to your stories. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and I mean it, like, get in touch if there's anything. Like, we have been in quite project mode, heads down, and we are in that mode of, oh yes, now we want to be out in the world. So yeah, any questions, any kind of just wanting to do brainstorming to get anything like that, we're
that's really fun.
Love it. Yeah. Do people know how to get in touch?
Well, maybe you should tell them. That would be the best way.
So our business is Mind Coach Academy. So we're based here in Christchurch, but obviously we are online as well. And so yeah, my email is rebecca@mindcoachacademy.co.nz.
I'm sure you're going to get it. I can see Ellie writing it down, so I can see you're going to get an email.
I mean it, like, it really is such a buzz speaking to people who are in that mode of wanting to get all this mindset, this hypnotherapy out there, and any kind of question.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us this morning, and just coming to these Monday sessions, because I think they're so valuable. We get so much out of them. I do anyway, so I hope you do. See you next week. Thanks, Bex. Take care.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.